He is that. And that's also why you kind of want to be careful with who you procreate with, because that child's going to be susceptible to that shit. You know what I mean? And now she's stuck with the dad that just, she longs for this relationship and he just could care less about her. Like, it's a little crazy. So I do kind of understand where she blames herself, and I'm not going to fully take all that blame off of her, is what I'm saying. So then we go to the perspective of Trent, which I always love when they do this. But when I tell you Trent is like class A asshole, the worst person, narcissistic. I mean, he is horrible. And so basically when Marcy called, he was screwing his dental assistant. So that's another reason why he really couldn't be bothered, because he was banging her. And so when he took the phone call, he like stopped effing her and he made her start sucking his dick. And then of course he like finished all over, and he talks to her like, he's like, oh, you love it, you little slut, and things like that. Now some stuff, like I'm a little kinky, but the way but his is just like, it's true, like degradement. Like it's degrading. Like he treats women like they are just beyond below. He doesn't treasure anything about them. They're basically just a piece of ass or a piece of pussy, and that's it. Like he could care less about you. It's about him and his need. And if you don't provide for his need, then you're a part of the problem and you're jealous of him. He has a very warped sense of reality. And it did not help that he was an only child, because they kind of made the world revolve around him and it stuck. Okay? And that is the worst thing. So he basically goes back over and he kind of talks about how, he did use Marcy. He saw an opportunity and he knew he could, help her get, to pay for things for his schooling and stuff like that. And she did it. And once he was done with her, he got rid of her. Once he graduated orthodontic school, he was gone. He talks of how he took her, the child's college fund. He took the money from that. He hid money from Marcy as well. So that way, when they got divorced, Marcy was considered the breadwinner. Thus the reason he hasn't had to pay any alimony, and he doesn't pay any child support either. And I was like, damn, like he just, woo. And he's proud of these things. Like he speaks of them and he's happy that he got away with it. His new wife, same thing with her, but she's younger, she's hot. But she's like this Christian girl. She grew up in a Christian home. So he finessed her as well. He also got her because of her connections, who her father was. They were wealthy. They were well off. They knew a lot of influential people in Las Vegas. And so that's why he wanted her, because everything is about Trent in his mind. So he learned Bible verses, all kind of stuff. He made her think that, he was the best Christian man, and it wasn't nothing like that. And when she falls out of line, he quotes Bible scriptures to her to make her do what he wants. It's crazy. So, yeah, he's trash. And he even told the wife, the current wife, her name is Deborah, he told her that the kid isn't his, that Marcy had stepped out on him, and it's not even his kid. So she's never met the child because he's advised her that's not even his kid. So yeah, he's an awful person. We see that clearly. So the next day, Mike brings over his dog Ziggy, because kids love dogs, and he's trying to get Marcy's attention because he's already decided he likes Marcy and he wants Marcy. So of course, Katie loved the dog loved Katie. It just worked out wonderfully. So he also kind of finessed a little bit too. So he kind of got Katie's got a cast because she didn't break her arm, but it was fractured. So on the cast, he draws a picture of this looks like a big house. And he draws a picture of, and then it's like her, Marcy, and Mike. And she's like, well, I like this house. Whose house is this? And he's like, oh, it's my house. And she's like, ooh, you know? And so then he asked her, he's like, would you like to come over for Thanksgiving dinner? And she's like, yeah. So, of course, he's kind of strong-armed Marcy into having to say yes. So Marcy's kind of pissed at him because seeing her expression, she can't, like, tell the baby no. You know what I mean? The kid just, like, fractured her whole arm. So it was sneaky, but it worked. So then when it's time for her to go to, because she has to take the kids to school, because Marcy lives in a condo. It's a small condo, and it's her and it's another woman that's a single mother as well. And so she takes their kids to school in the morning. Well, her car won't start. So Mike said, don't worry about it. I'll take them to school with you, you know, and then I'll come back and I'll check out your vehicle and see what's going on. And she's like, okay, cool. So they go to the car, they go back to the house after they've dropped the kids off, and he's like, it's your battery. So they go downtown to go get a battery, have a little tiff about who's going to pay for it, because, you know, she's independent. And so she's like, I got it. I can pay for it, you know? And he's like, don't worry. No, I would like to pay for this for you. I want to do this. Allow me that. So she gave in, let him pay for it. So he comes back, puts the battery in, and of course her car starts right up. So then they go to the park, and they took the dog to the park, and he's playing frisbee, and they're sitting on the bench and they're talking. And then he kind of told her the story about his wife, Barbara. And Barbara had died due to breast cancer. And so Marcy's mother had died as well due to breast cancer. And so when they had went out that day having putt-putt golf and had that conversation, that's why he was very much like, you know, make sure you get your checkups, you know, because, you know, you have great insurance now, because the job comes with all benefits, you know, any type of benefit, it comes with it. So make sure you get, you know, your checkup. And so then she understood why he was so like, you need to do that because of the experience. And so he told her he really liked her, and she told him, you know, again, she said, I don't date. Like, I don't do it. It doesn't work for me. And he said, okay, I'll settle just for being your friend, you know, being your friend. And so then he starts to describe what type of therapy that Andre does, Mr. Chevalier. We'll just call him Andre now. Even though I like his last name, Chevalier, I like that name. I think that's why I keep seeing it. But we'll say Andre. So Andre is, he helps deal, he's like a sex therapist, basically. So he helps with their sexual needs. And so he's like, I'm telling you this because I need to know if you're going to be squeamish about these type of things, because you're going to see different bondage, you know, things going on, and you might have to clean them. Or while, you know, there's a session going on, he might need you to bring in drinks, and you're going to see a really erotic scene. I need to know that you're okay with this. And she's like, no, I'm fine with it. You know, to each his own. I'm good. So one day while Marcy's cleaning the security room, because Mike has gone out of town, he had to go to LA for a security tech conference. And so she goes to the security room to clean, and then she sees Andre and the woman from the casino when she was first hired. And she's kind of looking, and she's like, oh shoot, like this is a session. There is sound to the videos, so she can hear everything that they're saying as well. And so he has the woman, you know, she's completely naked, and he lets her know, you know, I'm going to teach you how to be a submissive. And Andre's a dom, as they say. And so I guess there was this look that came across her face, and he asked her, you know, why are you looking like that? And she says, because I'm disgusting and I'm fat, and you're at least 10 years younger than me, and I can't see how you could possibly want me. And I was like, oh my God, the poor thing, you know? And so he says, can you not see how hard I get for you? Because his dick was hard. And so he started to describe her body and just the sensual way he talks. First of all, that accent in itself, okay? But the way he talked to her, it was it was sincere. And it just made her feel so completely sexy. And it was this connection you could tell with them. And so she was watching it, and then it got cut short because the security guy that was on duty was coming back. So she couldn't watch anymore. But it had a real effect on her, to see that intimacy. And so she realizes also, like, Mike is out of town, and she really does miss him. So he's cracking away. He's gonna get her. And so Marcy has been thinking about that scene over and over. Like, it has been in her head. And like I said, she realized the part that really intrigued her. It was the intimacy. And she realized that she never had that with Trent. It was always one-sided. She loved him, but he never loved her. She didn't enjoy sex. He told her she was a lousy lay. It was just awful how she described that. She just had never had that. That was just so sad. So Andre wants to see her, so he calls her to the office, and on her way there she gets a call from Mike. And Mike calls her, and he's like, listen, I love you. I just pretty much just want you to know, like, that's how I feel about you. I don't like you. I love you. And she's just kind of stunned. She's like, how could you possibly? You just met me. Like, there's no way. And he was just like, honestly, the minute you smiled, I knew you were it. I knew it. And he's like, I understand that you may not know it or feel it right now. He's like, but you will. And I will give you the time to figure it out. And so hung up the phone. So she's stunned. Because she's like, how in the world could this man possibly even love me? It's just crazy to her. And so, and I'm not going to lie, I would kind of be a little like, okay, that's a little intense. You know what I mean? But I guess in this situation, here's someone who, there's not like a lot of mess around him. You know what I mean? Like, he has a great business, he's financially stable beyond, and it's not like he's messing with a ton of women. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know now why he's not really doing a bunch of women. Like, he really isn't into that. And like, he had his whole, his wife was his world and she died. That's why he's by himself, So I think sometimes, I guess it depends on what type of person it's coming from, to where you can kind of believe. I can understand her as well. That's very difficult for her to believe, because she's only been told one thing from her spouse. So there's nothing different that she knows, unfortunately. So for her, it's just like, okay, we'll see. So, and then also, I think he's done a whole background check on her. So he was able to find out more information about her that a lot of people, I think, take a long time to find out. He kind of already knows everything. You know what I mean? So I guess that maybe makes it a little bit more plausible. I don't know. Maybe. So when Mike hangs up the phone, we find out Mike's bought a whole ass engagement ring while he was in Los Angeles. And again, I don't know if we're going to go with creepy or just super, he felt it. I don't know. I like his character, but that is very intense. I don't know. We'll just leave it at that. No, we're not going to fully judge at this very moment. So then Marcy goes into Andre's office, and he asks her, how's everything going? And she's like, she tells him how much she loves working there. She loves the people there. Like, she just loves the whole experience. And so She's even like, listen, I did some data work entry. Do you want me to do other things? She's like, because you're paying me this ridiculous salary, like I feel like I should be doing more work.